Hey, my name is Uwe Artmann. I'm CTO at Image Engineering, and I would like to talk to you about the iqled technology. So what is iqled technology? So basically, this here. So this is the iqled device, and we use this device in many, many different ways. So what do we have here? On the front side, you see there are 41 high-power SMD LEDs. So these LEDs are organized in 20 different channels. So that means that we have 20 different types of LEDs, and we can control each of these channels with a high intensity and with a pulse width modulation of 32 kilohertz, or if required by your camera, even with 128 kilohertz. So extremely fast. And we can control in 4,000 steps. So each of these channels can then be controlled so that we can mimic a specific spectrum. So what we have here is a spectrally tunable light source. So if you want to have, let's say, a D50 in 1,000 lux, you can get it. If you want to have an A in 10 lux, you can get it. Or if you just go outside and measure a spectrum, you can record it and reproduce that in lab. So how does that work? As said, we have these different LED channels, and we can control each of them with high precision. So now, if you know a little bit about LEDs, you know that LEDs are not that stable. So normally, it's a problem to use them in calibration purpose. So because LEDs will drift, they will change, and so on. But in our technology, this is not a problem, because LEDs have two ways how they change. On short term, they change in a temperature dependency. So depending on the temperature of the LED, the emitting light will change. But for that, we have a temperature management system in each iqled module. So we can heat up the LEDs, we can cool them down. So we keep them in a small temperature window. And with that technology, we make them very, very stable. So if you run the system for a minute, an hour, or 5 hours, you have the same spectrum. So now the second part, how LEDs change, is in a long-term degradation. So at the beginning of using LEDs, they have a burn-in phase, and then after a while, they will change and degrade. But that's also covered with the iqled technology, because in all products that use the iqled technology, we have an absolute calibrated spectrometer delivered with that. And this spectrometer is used to calibrate the iqled, but also to recalibrate it. So if you run iqled technology, for example, on production line, in a 24/7 environment, like every other week, and after a while, maybe you can switch to every month, you would do a recalibration that the device can perform by itself. So with that, you are sure that you have a very stable condition, and it will always go back into the same conditions. So that is extremely powerful. So the main features of the iqled is that we have a very high intensity. So it's 4 times higher than the version 1 that we had. So you can reach several thousand lux depending on the setup and the device, so several thousand lux for the device. But you can also go to very low intensities depending on the device that you use. So you have a huge range there that you can cover. The standard iqled element covers the visible range very well. So you have the visible range, but we go from 380 nanometers to 820 nanometers. So we also cover the extremes. So particular on calibration, if you want to see what is the variation on my finalcut filter, that is something that you can then really see and that you can really measure. So that's also another big benefit of that. You can run it directly without a PC. So we have storage on the device so that you can really run it and use it. And we have a smooth integration into production line. So especially with the version 2, we have many integrations that are particularly useful for production lines, so that the device itself can send a trigger signal, for example, when it change the illuminant, so that you can really synchronize it with your device under test. You can also have operation hour counter, or that you have a self-test. So the device can tell you if everything is okay. And that is, of course, something that is very valuable on a production line environment. So the iqled devices come with a very powerful software that controls every iqled device that we have. So if you go from a Cal1, Cal2, Cal3, flat lights, a light studio, whatever, you can control with the iqled software. So once you are used to that software, you can control all devices. But you can also control multiple devices at once. So even if you are on production line, you can have one PC but control 3 light sources. Or if you're in a lab where you have one centralized PC that controls different stations, it's all capable or can all be done with that software. The software is then used to create and run different illuminants, so that as I said, you want to have a D50 with 1000 lux, you can do it. Or if you want to have an A with 10 lux, you tell the software will do that for you. And you can create sequences, and you can control the spectrometer, and you perform the device calibration via this software. So a quick demo on that. So I have here now the iqled software, and I connected a Cal1 that you see on the other view. And I created already some illuminants. So I can just click here and say, hey, I want to have an A with 100 lux, or I want to have the same with 1000 lux. Can also do that, or a D50 with 750, or a D65 with 1000 lux. So if I now want to have something else, let's say I want to have a D75 with 1200 lux, I can just provide that, let the software create this illuminant. And with that, I get a spectral match or close match between the live reading here from the spectrometer and my target spectrum. If I created it, I can just pull this down here, and now I have stored it and can use it many times again. So I can switch back to my D50 and now go to my D75. So you see, that is a very powerful tool here and a very powerful software. Okay. Going back to the, as I said already, there is the iqled API. So everything that I did in the software, and I can do much more there. So recalibration, controlling, creating illuminants, and so on, is all based on an API, which is also available. So if you want to integrate an iqled device into your workflow, into your production line, you can use this API so that you have a deep integration and can design it in especially the way you would like to have it. It's a C++ API, but there is also a C wrapper available so that you can easily integrate that into other workflows. Okay, there are many different devices available that use this technology. In the calibration range, there is the Cal1, the Cal2, and the Cal3. I'm going to talk about that in another session. So they are specifically designed for the need that you have on a production line, or that you have especially when you want to calibrate devices. So the Cal1 has just the flat surface, so a 7 centimeter, very highly uniform surface, so that you can capture that with the device under test. The Cal2 has also these flat surface that you can use for calibration, and it's specifically designed to be as small as possible, but still mixing all the light. And the Cal3 is particularly interesting for everyone that has the hassle to deal with large field of view cameras, so these fisheye cameras. To do a flat field calibration with these kind of cameras is really a struggle. So the Cal3 is your solution for that. But also, if you want to illuminate reflective targets, we do have products for that. For example, the iqled flat light. So IQ flat light, it's a light source that can be used in lab to illuminate reflective test charts. Like also the IQ chart box, which is designed to illuminate smaller targets. Both very powerful tools for resolution testing or many other applications. Another product is like the LE7, which is made for transparent test targets. Like you see here the example with an OECF test chart, so that you can do like noise measurements, dynamic range measurement at different intensities with different spectra. And also this device is available with an IR extension, so that you can do tests from in the visible range up to 1050 nanometers. So if you have a camera that is sensitive to visible and near infrared, the LE7 IR is definitely the product that you need, because you can really create the light that you need for testing that device. And then we have the Light Studio. So the Light Studio is a reference test scene. So many customers use that to test their different software iterations, to test their hardware in a real test scene. And of course, there it is very interesting to have the iqled technology, because with that you can easily switch between different illuminants. And it's not fluorescent light, like many light boxes out there use fluorescent light. And fluorescent light is not the same. So a D65 fluorescent light tube does not give you the real good daylight. It is still, it's not a very good light source to do that. So the iqled technology is there, extremely good to give you continuous spectrum for a lot of different testing, and to see or to create challenging tests for your device in a test. So thanks a lot for watching or for listening to me for the iqled. We're going to talk about other topics in next sessions. So thanks for now. And see you in other sessions. Thank you.